summarize what you've learned about magnets. Let's summarize what you've learned about magnets. A magnet is any object with magnetic force. Magnetic force is the force that pushes magnets apart or pulls them together. When you bring two magnets close together, they will either repel or attract each other. The parts of a magnet where the magnetic force is strongest are called the magnetic poles. All known magnets have two poles, a north pole and a south pole. When two magnets are brought together, a north pole and a south pole attract each other. Like poles repel each other. Magnets that are far apart do not pull or push enough to move each other. The magnetic force between two magnets is weak when magnets are far apart. The magnetic force gets stronger as the magnets are brought closer together. Most magnets are made of metal. Metals, like all matter, are made of tiny particles. Those particles are like tiny magnets. Inside a magnet, these tiny magnetic particles are lined up. The north poles face one direction, and the south poles face the other. The particles push and pull in the same directions. In objects made of metals like iron, nickel, and cobalt, those tiny magnetic particles push and pull in all different directions. When a permanent magnet is brought near the objects, however, the particles turn around and line up. The metal becomes a temporary magnet. It can attract other magnets. If you take the permanent magnet away, the magnetic particles usually move around again. The north and south poles no longer line up. The metal is no longer magnetic. Sometimes, though, the particles stay lined up, and the metal becomes a permanent magnet. Every magnet has a magnetic field around it. A magnetic field is the area of magnetic force around a magnet. When one magnet enters the magnetic field of another magnet, it is either attracted or repelled. This can happen even if the magnets are not touching. A magnet's magnetic field is strongest near the magnet's poles and weaker farther away from the poles. Our planet is a giant magnet. Much of the inside of Earth is made up of melted iron. This iron creates a magnetic field that surrounds our planet. Earth spins around its axis, an imaginary line through the center of Earth. The geographic North Pole is located at one end of this axis. The geographic South Pole is at the other end. Earth has one magnetic pole near its geographic North Pole and another near the geographic South Pole. Long ago, people noticed that one end of a magnet turned to point north. They called this end the north-seeking pole. The other end was named the south-seeking pole because it pointed south. Today, those names are shortened to just the north and south poles of a magnet. A compass is an instrument that uses Earth's magnetic field to help people find directions. A compass needle is actually a thin magnet. The needle points north because it lines up with Earth's magnetic field. Since a compass needle points north, the compass can be used to tell north, east, south, and west, and other directions in between. All magnets have two poles. Like poles repel each other, and unlike poles attract each other. A magnetic field is the region of magnetic force around a magnet. A compass needle is attracted to Earth's magnetic poles, so it can be used to find which way is north. How do magnetic poles interact? Like poles, such as north-north, repel each other, while unlike poles, north and south, attract each other. Is the following statement true or false? A magnetic field is the region of positive and negative attractive forces surrounding a magnet. If you hung a magnet on a piece of string, what would it do? The magnet would turn until it's aligned with Earth's magnetic field. The north end of the magnet would point north. What happens to an iron nail when it is brought near a magnet? What happens when the magnet is taken away? When an iron nail is brought near a magnet, it becomes a temporary magnet that can attract other magnets. When the magnet is taken away, the nail is no longer a temporary magnet. Magnetic force is produced by A. Suppose you are the captain of a ship that was lost in a storm. Write an entry in your